Hello and welcome to Vietnam 360. Now, Hanoi is a city in motion. Every day, millions of motorbikes weave through its streets, powering the economy, shaping daily life, and defining the rhythm of the capital. But this familiar movement now comes with a cost: worsening air pollution, traffic congestion, and growing pressure on the city's quality of life. As Hanoi prepares for a major shift, including plans to restrict petrol-powered motorcycles and expand low-emission zones, the city finds itself at a crossroads. How do we move toward a greener future without leaving people behind? And what lessons can Hanoi learn from international experience and regional innovation? Today on Vietnam 360, we explore Hanoi's mobility transition with two guests who bring both global perspective and local insight. Mr. Emmanuel Cerise, Chief Representative of the Île-de-France region in Hanoi, and Mr. Nguyễn Hữu Phước Nguyên, co-founder and CEO of Selex Motors. Well, thank you very much for joining us today on Vietnam 360.
Thank you for having us.
It's a familiar sight in Hanoi, a sea of motorbikes stretching as far as the eye can see. Engines rattling, horns echoing, and the air thick with exhaust fumes. Now that image could soon fade. Hanoi is set to introduce low-emission zones, designated areas aimed at restricting polluting vehicles and prioritizing those powered by clean energy. Under the plan, petrol-powered motorbikes and scooters will be banned from operating in low-emission zones during certain hours or in specific areas. Ride-hailing motorbikes will also be prohibited. Cars that fail to meet Euro 4 emission standards will face restrictions and will eventually be barred from entering these zones, depending on the time or route. According to the roadmap, from July 1st, 2026, Hanoi will pilot low-emission zones in several wards within Ring Road No. 1, including Hai Bà Trưng, Cửa Nam, Hoàn Kiếm, Ô Chợ Dừa, Văn Miếu Quốc Tử Giám, Ba Đình, Giảng Võ, Ngọc Hà, and Tây Hồ. 2 years later, from January 1st, 2028, the scheme will expand to cover all of Ring Road No. 1 and parts of Ring Road No. 2. From January 1st, 2030, low-emission zones will be implemented within Ring Road No. 3. City authorities say establishing low-emission zones is one of the key measures to tackle air pollution.
So we're talking about pollution, traffic congestion, and Hanoi's plan to restrict petrol vehicles. My first question to you both is, you know about the Prime Minister's roadmap, so what do you think about this decision?
I think it is quite necessary because of the air pollution problems, and also it aligns with Vietnam's target to hit net zero by 2050. And also is a new economic growth, a very important new economic growth direction. But at the same time, I think it is quite ambitious and challenging to really implement it successfully because this is not just about counting the number of EVs on the road, but at the same time, it's about setting up enough energy infrastructures, make the transition convenient and affordable for the people. Also, the local industry, whether they are ready or not to adapt with the new target, and importantly the people awareness of the change. Are they ready in terms of mentally, and also are they ready in terms of financially to transition? Overall, I think this is inevitable, and we should do the early the better. But at the same time, it's quite ambitious because we are talking about a really big change in the entire big cities like Hanoi.
It's very interesting because you are the co-founder and CEO of a EV company, and you're saying that you think that this goal is maybe ambitious.
Yeah, it's ironic, right? It's to my benefit and to my company benefit, and for the interest of companies, I would say it's fantastic. But at the same time, even for us, it's not a smooth transition. On one hand, it's provide a market opportunity. It significantly boosts the demand, but at the same time, we need to be prepared on our financial capabilities, production capabilities, and need to compete with other bigger and more financially equipped competitors from overseas.
Right.
And that is one thing that I really want the government to really think about. Should we have a gradual and proper plans and to incentivize local production and local companies so that we can achieve multiple goals, not just electrifying the vehicles, but at the same time building the BYDs and the Tesla of Vietnam?
I want to ask you, Cerise, about the timing of this decision. What do you think about July 2026?
Yeah, I think July 2026 is soon, very soon. It's involved a lot of things, and it need also a strong planification. Banning petrol-use motorbike is for me just like a starting point of a more important policy. If we want to achieve the environmental policy, we should think also about cars. And if you just ban motorbike, maybe some people will switch from motorbike to car. The impact on the environment should be worse than if you have a strong policy, but global one with a very strong planification. And then for that, we need time.
What challenges do you foresee in the implementation of this decision?
There are several key challenges I can foresee. One is the infrastructure, the charging infrastructure, whether it is ready to support the mass adoption of electric two-wheelers. Secondly, whether the people are ready mentally and financially. Because for Vietnamese, motorbikes can mean livelihood, habits, can also mean freedom. So making them switch to electric bikes, I think is not an easy switch for many people in Hanoi. And I think thirdly, the local industries. So we want to build a new industry here, not just in terms of commercialization, like not just in terms of electrifying the motorbikes, but we also want to have multi-purpose program so that we can, on one hand, improve the air quality, but at the same time, we can build a robust industrial sectors. So those things need time, right?
What's your...
Yeah, I think that time is not just the time to make it technically, but as you say, to involve the population is more than important. What is needed is also an incentive fund policy to support financially people to switch to electric bike, for example. And then also what is needed is to include this policy into a larger one. If you want to have a low emission zone or a greener public transportation, we should discuss about other alternatives than electric vehicles, promoting public transportation. And we know that, for example, that public transportation projects, such as metro project, take a long time. For sure, one of the challenges is to go fast. And then I'm pretty sure that Hanoi can go faster than Paris or other city in Europe. There is very dynamic here, but there is at least this need of involving the population, assist them to change their behavior. That also takes time.
I agree with you. Somehow it reminded me of the time when Hanoi implemented the law. Everybody had to wear a helmet. So that kind of thing can happen overnight. But switching to EV is a different thing. And it needs time, buffer zone for people to be ready and for the infrastructure to be ready. So you mentioned about going fast. To go fast, we need to set priorities, right? Which issues should the city prioritize to make this roadmap feasible?
One of the priority is also to focus on public transportation. Hanoi have 2 metro lines, more than 160 bus lines. That is good, but not enough. And for sure, if we want to go fast, metro is not fast. Building new metro line is necessary, but it's not fast. In fact, working on the bus network is faster, cheaper, and could be very efficient. Île-de-France now, Paris region, the planification is very important because they have a specific mobility planification. So it's not a planification only to build new metro or only focusing on buses, but integrated all the different modes of transportation, as well as walking is very important because it's, as you say, it shouldn't be only one option to take only EV or only your car or only, but to switch from one to another and then to integrate it all together.
I am at a busy intersection here in Orchard Ward within Ring Road 1, which is among the pilot locations for low emission zones. As we can see here, there is maybe 1, 2 electric bikes, and there's another one there. But overall, gasoline-powered vehicles still make up the majority in this area. With only 4 months to go until July 2026, what do Hanoi residents really need to transition to electric bikes?
According to a survey conducted last year by Mi Brand, a company providing brand consulting and market research services, around 50% of Hanoi residents believe that banning gasoline-powered vehicles is the right move for environmental protection. However, they say it requires a clear roadmap and reasonable support measures from the government.
Thì việc nhà nước hỗ trợ là về giá là yếu tố rất là quan trọng để thúc đẩy quá trình chuyển đổi từ xe xăng sang xe điện. Thì hiện nay thì là về chi phí là mua xe điện ban đầu vẫn là khá cao so với thu nhập của rất nhiều người dân ấy.
Hỗ trợ cho vay hoặc là trả góp.
Cần thêm trụ sạc nhiều hơn này.
Từ đợt năm ngoái thì có nhà nước có gần như là có cái thông tin đấy thì em đã mua sẵn rồi đấy. Em rất là sẵn sàng chuyển sang xe điện nếu mà nhà nước yêu cầu bởi vì đấy là bảo vệ môi trường.
Hanoi is currently planning to support the transition to green energy motorcycles at 20% of the vehicle's value, capped at a maximum of around $200. The city will also provide a 50% reduction in registration fees for converted motorcycles and motorbikes. In terms of preferential loan policies, Hanoi has proposed covering 30% of the loan interest on the full contract value for individuals purchasing green energy motorcycles and motorbikes through installment plans.
I want to point out a very interesting fact. Actually, the studio that we are sitting here is on the rear of Ring Road number 1.
Yes.
I think we have on our map
Ring Road
here is specific locations. What do you think about this map?
Inside Ring Road 1 is good enough to have this kind of policy. If the experience is too small, nobody will switch to an electric motorbike just to go to Wankem Lake, for example. But if it's to move inside Ring Road 1 or Ring Road 2 in the future, it starts to be interesting to think about switching to another mode. And then in this scale also, you can think about using some alternative. So sometimes rather than to use a motorbike, you can take the bus, for example. And then the metro also is inside these limits. So it's also interesting to think, for example, how to switch from a metro station to an EV, a shared EV, for example.
So, as you mentioned, restricting petrol-powered motorcycles will pose significant challenges for residents. So how do you think Hanoi's people can overcome these difficulties, especially, as you said, leaving no one behind?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question to think about. In Vietnam, motorcycle is the main means of many people, especially poor people. Usually they use their vehicles to earn a living. And like gig workers, shippers, and the bans will definitely affect them. So we need to think about financial programs to help them to switch to EVs, affordably.
Yeah, there have been some programs or incentives, right?
In Hanoi, it's not that. They have been announced intention, but I don't see a concrete policy that on an execution level yet. So we're still waiting for that.
How about incentives from EV makers?
Like for us, we have multiple incentives, and we actually focus mostly on gig workers and those who work in transportation sectors. And we provide instrument buying programs, and we provide heavy discount on the energy and also on the vehicles. And especially we developed that battery swapping network, so people can swap their batteries like under 2 minutes. It's just that is time saving, and it's also income opportunity for them. But I think this need to be solved comprehensive and macro levels, not just on individual companies.
You are talking from the perspective of a local EV producer.
Yeah.
And I want to hear your comment as a urban planning architect, researcher. What do you think about the readiness of the infrastructure and of Hanoi and other cities in Vietnam at the moment?
You know, I live here for some years already, 14 years. And even before living here, I came to Vietnam very, very often for more than 25 years. And then I can say that the infrastructure is better and better. It's still needed to build more infrastructure, for sure. Now, construction and transportation is the same head. When we speak about mobility, is really a mix between some techniques involving engineers, but also planning involving urban planner, architect, designer. So I think it's a very good thing that now there is only one head over those two important stakeholders. They work more closely for Hanoi, but is in a very good direction. Now speaking about switching to EV vehicle, because it's more important really to work hand to hand with all the population. One of the option could be also to give more time to low income people or to the population that is a little more difficult for them to do one.
What can you say about the pricing of EV motorcycles at the moment? Because as Cerise just mentioned, the pricing should be affordable.
Yeah. Remember, you should check out my bikes, the motorbikes, because our motorbikes are very affordable. And I think making affordable vehicles now is possible in Vietnam, and local companies are able to do that. But to remain competitive compared to other foreign players like Chinese players, then we need more incentives from the government. In fact, our vehicles right now is 80% of the components made locally or supplied locally. The local contents are quite high, but at the same time, look, we do not have a well-developed supply chain around EVs yet, and it's still, dependent on China for many parts, and the world is actually dependent on China for EV supply chain. Right. But that can change, right? If we can leverage our geopolitical position, and at the same time the attractiveness of our EV market, we can learn from other countries in the world that how they have built their local, supply chain for EVs. To make vehicles affordable is not enough. To make vehicles competitive is the question.
Right. What can you say about the beneficiaries of this policy? Do you think the people are the main beneficiaries, or is it the domestic EV makers?
There is some benefit from local construction, but the main benefit should be the inhabitant. If they have a cleaner city, they can breathe normally. Is for sure is a big change.
Yeah. Behind you is a graph of sources of air pollution.
Yeah.
Transportation is 56%.
Yeah, transportation is one of the key things to work on to have a better air quality. But once again, should be a panel of option for the people. Taking the bus should be easier. Taking the metro should be easier and more efficient. We can have clean bus. Metro is quite clean. So if we combine those public transportation with EV, perfect.
Right. So, Mr. Nguyen, besides the environmental impact that EV can bring, what are other maybe improvements it has compared to traditional powered vehicle?
For sure, one is economy efficiency. EV can reduce the cost of fuel a lot. It's much more efficient compared to internal combustion engine vehicles. For the same distance, the cost of electricity can be only around 20% compared to gasoline. At the same time, the development of EVs will stimulate the development of many other areas and strategic areas, such as renewable energy, such as batteries, such as new energy infrastructures. So EV is very important catalyst for that industrial change.
Sweden was the first country in Europe to introduce low-emission zones, LEZs, in 1996. Since then, the concept has been adopted by many other European cities, including in Germany, the Netherlands, Italy, and beyond. Paris began exploring low-emission measures in the mid-2010s and implemented a low-emission zone in 2019. In 2019, London introduced its ultra-low-emission zone, ULEZ, in central London, the first 24-hour emissions-based charge area of its kind. 6 months after launch, there were about 13,500 fewer older, higher-emitting vehicles entering the zone each day. By 2024, hundreds of European cities have implemented low-emission zones, with the total number of LEZs across Europe reported to be around 320. In Southeast Asia, the first low-emission zone in Indonesia was implemented in the Old Town area of Jakarta in 2021.
I want to ask Mr. Nguyên, your company operates not only in Vietnam but also across Southeast Asia. Are there any models in the region that Vietnam can learn from, more specifically Hanoi?
Vietnam, in fact, in one of the leading country in terms of electrification. If we measure in terms of percentage of EV penetration, Vietnam is probably the number one in terms of electric two-wheelers in the region. But we lag behind the policy development. I think Indonesia and Thailand, they have very similar approaches. They are taking multi-purpose approach. On one hand is electrifying the vehicles for the environmental purposes, but more importantly on local production. They're focusing on creating a local industry around the electrifications. And they, with that multi-purpose approach, they design the policy around it very, very clearly. On one hand, they incentivizing the adoption of the vehicles for the consumption. So they incentivize around $400 to $500 per electric two-wheelers sold in the country via tax reduction or fees reduction like VAT and registration fees. On the other hand, they focusing on promoting and enforcing local production. They have policies such as they require local contents to be at least 60% for the companies to qualify for only 1% VAT tax. They have a roadmap for that local content to increase to 80% by 2030. They do not ban imports, but they discourage it. Like if you import one, you need to produce locally one or 1.5 vehicles. So it's really comprehensive and holistic approach about the electrification. Not just like incentivizing and counting the numbers. Oh, we already electrifying 20% of the vehicles on the roads, and that's it. It's not. It's more about broader and deeper economic reasons.
In Ile-de-France, the price policy for public transportation is very important. So it's the cheapest way to move in Paris. Recently, they even simplify the tarification. So now there is only one price for to go everywhere in Paris urban area. You can pay with your phone very easily. So public transportation is smooth, cheap, and easy. So it's also a good lesson if we want that public transportation start to be attractive for the people.
Right. What do you think Vietnam has in terms of advantages to have the green transition going on effectively?
Is a very dynamic city. The economic growth is high, population is quite young and motivated to do things in a proper way. They look at the future with in a very positive view for the future. So this is some things that sometimes is lacking in Europe. For example, switching to EV, a lot of young ones, I'm pretty sure they agree with that. Dynamic population of Hanoi is the key point to succeed.
Yeah. What's your opinion?
One is obviously the market. We are the fourth largest motorcycle market in the world with around 70 million motorcycles on the road right now. Imagine that came EV, then that is a really big market,
Right.
$100 billion market. We also have very strong industrial base that we can become an important and integrated supply chain hub for the EVs and renewable energy industry. Thirdly, I think the geopolitical position of Vietnam is very important and advantageous. We are close to China, Korea, and Japan. China is the biggest EV player in the world, and we can learn from them. The similarity between political system also helps so that we can transition quicker, more efficiently from the lesson learned from China. And also the support from international community is also very strong for Vietnam to transition to renewable energy, new energy, like for example, the Trust Energy Transition Partnership, right, has committed to support Vietnam $15 billion for the transition. And I think lastly, the people, from the engineers' perspective, from the workforce. I think we have a strong workforce, young and dynamic, so that will be a big driver for the transition.
My last question to you both is, if you can project in 10 or 15 years, how do you envision Hanoi as a city with this upcoming policy?
Just to speak about one of our projects that is called Move Hanoi, is supported by Île-de-France, Hanoi, and also the French Agency for Development. We implement a digital tool to make some scenario about the future traffic in Hanoi. If we do nothing, it will be worse. More and more congestion, traffic jam. If Hanoi develop public transportation faster, it will be for sure a better city to live in.
What about you? I hope by that time your company would become a unicorn.
Yeah, so let's hope so. With the new era that we're entering, I am optimistic about the future of Hanoi. In 10 or 15 years, most of the vehicles on Hanoi road will be clean vehicle, can be electric, can be in other forms. And Hanoi will be much more livable and with much better air quality and much higher living standards. I'm very confident about that.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your sharing with us today. Hanoi's transition toward greener mobility is not just about replacing petrol vehicles with electric ones. It is about rethinking how a city moves, how it breathes, and how it grows. As we've heard today, this journey will not be easy. It requires clear policy, reliable infrastructure, strong public support, and close cooperation between government, businesses, and citizens. But it is also representing an opportunity to build a cleaner, more livable, and more sustainable Hanoi for future generations. The choices made today will define what Hanoi looks like 10 or 15 years from now, not only its streets and skies, but the quality of life for everyone who calls this city home. Thank you to our guests for this very insightful sharing, and thank you for watching Vietnam 360. Goodbye and see you in our next program.